Hello everyone, welcome to Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services. It's a video on daily news and editorial analysis, which I'll be covering from the Hindu and Indian Express. The most important news and editorial that is relevant for the preparation of civil services examination will be discussed in this session. Let's get started with the news topic list. Today is 16th of November. The first important news that is world at 8 billion, India is said to be the most populous country. Second, is climate change affecting the global health? Third, exotic primates smuggled from Burmese seized in Assam. Fourth, third editions of No Money for Terror conference. And the last is an editorial, health as a focus of air pollution policy. Apart from the news and editorial discussion, at the end of this video, there will be MCQ based questions. These questions will be based on current affairs that will help you for the upcoming prelims examination. So without any further delay, let's get started. And before I begin this session, those of you who are new to our channel, do not forget to subscribe Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services on YouTube. If you like this video, if you find this video informative and helpful, do not forget to press a like button. Starting the session with the first news, that is world at 8 billion, India is said to be the most populous country in the world after China. So something important for general studies paper 2, effect of policies and politics of developed and developing countries. So in a milestone to humanity, the global population has hit 8 billion after adding 1 billion in the last 12 years. तो पिछले 12 सालों में 1 बिलियन की टोटल जो पॉपुलेशन है वो कंट्रीब्यूट की गई है ग्लोबली एंड द एंटायर वर्ल्ड पॉपुलेशन हैज रीच अप टू 8 बिलियन. India is ready to overtake China as the world's most populous country next year, that is by 2023. As per the United Nations, the global milestone signal a major improvement in the public health that have lowered the risk of death and increased the life expectancy. But अगर बात करें इस moment की, it also a clarion call on the humanity to look beyond the numbers and meet the shared responsibility to protect the people, planet, stating with the most vulnerable. Even if you talk about the environmental decremental that is happening, we need to work. There are a lot of initiative at the multilateral forum talking about the recent COP27 meeting. There are a lot of effort that is also made by the developing and developed countries. Now, India as a world most populous country, India is projected to surpass China as a world most populous country by 2023. This is something not an achievement. Even a population growth call for a lot more, basically the development from the government end, it call for high rate in the unemployment. So everything has to be seen in the same angle. The population prospect reports that India's population stand 1.41 billion in 2022 as compared to China, that is 1.426 billion. India is projected to have a population of 1.668 billion in 2050, way ahead of China's projection, that is in the middle of the century. According to the United Nations Population Fund, India's population growth is stabilizing and is still growing at the rate of 0.7%. So this is an important point that you can even use basically in the mains examination. A question can be framed in the prelims as well. The clock of the population has flashed on November 15, that is 8 billion, and the world having an added populations over the 1 billion जो add हुई है पिछले 12 सालों में हुई है. UN estimate that the global population is projected to surpass 9 billion around 2037 and 10 billion by 2058. So this is again an important point, factually important point that you can take a note. 9 billion और बढ़ेगी by 2037 and 10 billion by 2058. Now, India is set to become the world's most populous country. If you see in the pictures, like for 1990s, these are the data for 2022 and this is for 2050. Even you can pause this video and you can check out the data. For 2050, India is going to be the country that has the highest population, followed by China, then United States, Nigeria, and Pakistan. And these are the progress that has been made. UN growth estimate 9 billion population by 2037 and 10 billion population by 2058. Right, and this is the growth rate that has been projected by 2020. Now, is climate change affecting the global health? Something important for general studies paper 3 under the subtopic, that is conservation, environmental pollutions, degradation, and EIA. So a recent report by Lancet has traced in detail the intimate link between the changing weather, linking to the impact on the human health, and it has a lot of repercussion. If you see, many lifestyle diseases and even the environmental induced diseases is creating a problem for the mankind. The 2022 Lancet report has countdown on health and climate changes. The report is named as Health at the Mercy of the Fossil Fuels, point out that the world reliance on the fossil fuel has increased the risk of diseases, food insecurity and other related to issues to heat. तो सिर्फ और सिर्फ रिस्क ऑफ डिजीजेज नहीं, फूड इनसिक्योरिटी भी बड़ी है और कुछ ऐसे प्रॉब्लम जो हीट रिलेटेड इलनेस है उसमें भी काफ़ी ज़्यादा इजाफा देखा गया. Now, more about the Lancet report 2022. So, the Lancet specifically has noted that the world is facing with a threat of climate change. This is evident from the fact, and even for the COP26 and COP27 has highlighted the issue, right? And talking about the other part of the report, according to the World Health Organization, the climate change affects the social and environmental detriments of health, clean air, safe drinking water, sufficient food, and secure shelter. So definitely not only one, it's an umbrella problem that highlights the issue. The Lancet report indicates that rapidly increasing of temperature has exposed the people, especially the most vulnerable populations, to 3.7 billion more to heat wave in 2021 than annually in 1986 to 2005. So these are the decremental rate that we are saying because the mankind, because the human being across the globe is not acting in a sustainable way, which has indeed led to the lot of decrements to the environment. Now, rise in the infectious diseases के बारे में बात की गई है. The changing climate is affecting the spread of the infectious disease, raising the risk of emerging diseases and co-epidemics. Like if you talk about COVID-19, it was evident from the fact that how the disease is spread across the globe, starting from China to reaching out to Africa and all other countries. So infection, we need to control it. We need to have a hygiene behavior. Medical etiquettes is also required. For instances, it required the coastal water and becoming more suited to transmission of the vibrio pathogens. That also called that the number of months suitable for malaria transmission has increased to the highland areas of America and Africa. The WHO has predicted that between 2030 and 2050, the climate change is expected to approximate by 250,000 additional deaths per day from the malnutrition, malaria, diarrhea, and heat stress. Food insecurity is again an important point that has been highlighted. Higher temperature की वजह से जो crop yield है वो directly impact होती है और काफ़ी ज़्यादा threatened है, which is growing season shortening many cereal crops. Extreme weather events disrupt supply chain, thereby undermining the food availability, access, stability, and utilizations. The prevalence of undernourishment increased during the COVID-19. Up to 161 million more people face hunger by 2020 than 2019. Now, the situation is worsening by Russia's invasion in Ukraine because these are the countries that has the most of the supply of wheat to other countries. Even many grains are being supplied from Russia and Ukraine. तो कहीं ना कहीं जो पूरी सप्लाई चेन की डिस्ट्रप्शन अक्रॉस द ग्लोब देखी गई है. सनफ्लावर ऑयल्स की बात करें, कैनोला ऑयल्स, दीज आर सम ऑफ द थिंग दैट इंडिया आल्सो इंपोर्ट फ्रॉम द कंट्री, which has ultimately led to the price hike in many countries. Dependency on fossil fuel. The war has led many countries to search for the alternative of Russia's oil and gas, and some of them are also turning back to the additional thermal energy. The report argues that if implemented as a temporary transition, the renewed clamor to coal, basically coal अगर बात करें, coal की alternative की काफ़ी ज़्यादा ज़रूरत है. I've already discussed about the alternative source of coal in the last session. कल के discussion में इसके बारे में बात हुई, क्या alternative forms India use करने वाली, क्या क्या targets हैं. You need to remember that as well. Now, if you talk about the air quality improvement, definitely the world is pushing towards a climate resilience infrastructure and initiatives. So that is not threatening the human survival. Instead, a transition of clean energy is something that is required and is a way forward for sustainable environment. India, although, has advocated for a transition to clean energy and its way out, that how India would be reaching it out. Solutions की बात करें, improvement of air quality will prevent the death resulting in exposure to the fossil fuel derived ambient particulate matter 2.5 that has stressed the low carbon travel and increase the urban space that would result in promoting the physical activity and even impact on physical and mental health. The report also called for an accelerated transitions to balance more plant-based diet that will help reduce the emissions from the red meat, meeting productions and prevent diet related to basic sustainable reductions of zoonotic diseases. If you want to control, these things should also be taken into control measure so that there is no spread of the zoonotic diseases like COVID-19. The report indicates that this sort of health shift focus would reduce the burden of communications and non-communicable diseases, reducing the strain on the healthcare and leading to a more robust healthcare system across the globe, specifically for a country like India. Third edition of No Money for Terror conference, something important for General Studies paper 2 under the subtopic bilateral regional grouping and agreement involving India and affecting India's interest. So the Prime Minister will inaugurate the third global No Money for Terror conference, and this is something which will start from November 18 and 19, 2022. The conference will have a representation from across 75 countries that will discuss the various issues pertaining to terrorism and terror financing. Terror financing is an issue which India is concerned about, and for this particular issues, India has raised its voice in G20 and many other multilateral forums. The use of crowdfunding platform finance activities and weak control mechanism for the social media platform is one of the main topics to be discussed at the third No Money Terror conference. This is held in Delhi, so the venue become very important for many other competitive examination apart from UPSC civil services exam. So the name is NMFT 2022 in India. What are the major topics that will be discussed? The major topics to be discussed in the conference include the global trend in the terrorism and terror financing, use of formal and informal channel for terrorism, emerging technology and terror financing, international cooperations to address the challenges in combating the terror financing. Now, the meeting will seek the global cooperations in addressing the challenges with regards to countering the terror funding obtained from formal and informal channels. So, definitely curbing this terror financing will be the sole more criteria and even priority for the government of India. The conference will focus on the role of cryptocurrency, which RBI has categorically banned it in terms of bitcoins and funding terrorist activities. The focus will give a dark web role in promoting the transfer, basically, or crowdsourcing that funds the terrorism. So these are the things that needs to be taken care of, and it also aims to strengthen the role of financial task force. They say FATF कहते हैं, Financial Action Task Force, in setting a global standard that can create an effective mechanism to combat टेरर फाइनेंसिंग. तो टेरर फाइनेंसिंग की जब बात हो तो आप FATF के बारे में जिक्र ज़रूर करें. उनकी जो इनिशिएटिव्स है, इवन जो उन्होंने पाकिस्तान को ब्लैक लिस्ट किया, ये सारी ग्रे लिस्ट की जो कंट्रीज़ हैं, you should also name them because it means this type of points will definitely give you an additional edge. Moving to the other news, exotic primates smuggled from Burmese seized in Assam, something important for general studies paper 3, that is conservation, environmental pollutions, degradation and EIA. So recently the Assam police has recovered 7 primates. These were smuggled from Myanmar. These are some of the images that were released. So smuggled into the country from Myanmar, being seized for it from the state called Hilalikan district in Assam. So Assam se recover ki gayi hai. 2 persons were arrested in connections with the endangered animal. See if any animal which is there in the news might be relevant for the UPSC prelims examination. The smuggling of endangered exotic animal wild drugs valued 100 crores of rupees were seized from the Myanmar, rising the military corps there. Now, there's a 1,643 kilometer long unfenced India-Myanmar border, जो कि एक unfenced border है, which is a problem for the law enforcement agencies, for the state polices to basically counter it, right? So they have witnessed an illegal trade smuggling of drugs, gold, arm, ammunitions, and other article which is coming from Burma through the foreign cigarettes. These are some of the articles that were also recovered. The police at Chachar district have also worked to seize 3,500 kgs of Burmese acre nuts. So these are being smuggled. Black market is there, which is again even creating for a lot more problem for the state police also. Now moving to the editorial of the day, that is health as a focus of air pollution policy, something important for general studies paper 2. Precisely, it is important for general studies paper 2. That is the government policies and intervention for the development of various sectors and issues arising from a design and implementation. It is also important for General Studies Paper 3 in the Environmental Pollution Degradation and EIA. So, what is the main issues under this editorial? We'll be looking into the theme. The theme called for air pollution policies, and some of the important points include protecting the public health, lessons to be learned, air quality standard, remedies, and the way forward. Now, the worsening winter air quality in the North India has yet again brought up issues of basically the issue of public concern, that is with regards to the harmful effects of air pollution on the human health, right? Even the burning of stubble burning, which is there in Haryana and Punjab, affects the Delhi and NCR region, right? Although government is curbing it, but to the larger extent, practically on the ground level, it has to a lot of work that has to be done, right? Effects of exposure to the bad air in every organ of our body. It is affecting the human being deeply by the vulnerable society that include children, elderly, pregnant women, and that existing with the pre-health conditions. According to the Lancet report, in India, 17.8% of the death and 11.5% of the respiratory cardiovascular related diseases are attributed to high exposure of pollution to 2019. So this is a categorically a report specified by the Lancet, which is one of the reputed journal in the medical fraternity across the globe. The public health emergency has resulted in the call for health to make central pollution policies. The government of India has also come up with the policy, but we need to dedicatedly work on this so that the curbing process is on a high on agenda. Now, protecting public health is again the priority. The primacy of protecting public health is clearly laid down in the statement and object related to India's key environmental laws. India's air pollution has to be the best treated healthy as merely as one of the severely relevant facets of decision making. To treat health as a facet, air pollutions are meant to have occasionally provide health voice with seat on the table. So this should be the highmost priority for the government agencies, and even the private collaboration can also be the part of it. Recent papers that was published in the Center for Policy Research, जिसे CPR के नाम से भी जाना जाता है, they have said that health sector representative comprises of less than 5% of the members from the State Pollution Control Board, which is again very less. So our collaborations from there and is essentially required. And I've also made a news in the Daily News and Editorial Analysis where the populations and even the manpower with regards to the State Pollution Control Board and Central Pollution Control Board is very less. We need to fill that gap immediately. Now, lessons to be learned. What does it mean for the health and features for the air policies? किस तरह से जो एयर पोल्यूशन है वो हमारे हेल्थ के लिए डेक्रीमेंटल है, तो गवर्नमेंट क्या पॉलिसी बना सकती है वो हमें देखने की जरूरत है. The health and epidemiological evidence will drive the determinations to achieve substantial health benefit from clean and air targets. This is prioritizing the intervention that contribute to the most reducing the exposure, thereby providing health benefits. And even it also brought the light to the local and global epidemiological evidences that is harmful for the air pollution. So these are the lessons that Government of India need to prioritize, and even from the stakeholders and many other awareness campaign from the other NGOs can also be there. Air quality standards की अगर बात करें, as in India, the process of revising the ambient air quality standard would be well done from its groundbreaking efforts. And this, that is the National Air Quality Ambient Standard Review, has been remained largely opaque process over the years, forecasting health, such as the process meant to have a standard determined as the local conditions, but also impact the exposure to the vulnerable population. तो इस मेथडोलॉजी की क्लैरिटी नहीं होने की वजह से बहुत सारे ऐसे प्रॉब्लम है जो एविडेंट है. इवन फॉर द स्टेट्स विच इज प्रोड्यूसिंग द हाईएस्ट नंबर ऑफ पोल्यूशंस, दे नीड टू हैव अ रिकॉग्निशंस और उन्हें कंट्रोल मेजर्स की तरफ आगे बढ़ने की जरूरत है. एंड द स्टेट गवर्नमेंट इन स्पेसिफिक नीड टू टेक सम एक्शंस, द कंक्रीट एक्शन that is helping to reduce air pollution in particular area. Now, remedy की अगर बात करें, the first step would be to require radical thinking on the way that we design policies for the grounding up. Behind every sources, the contributor significantly is the air pollution. There is a story of political, sectorial and isolated policy making. This has to become both from the central government and the state government. Now, where the stubble burning, as I've told you in the beginning, is a big problem. Thermal power plant emission is also a big issue and concern. Without any consideration, their potential and second or third order effects cannot be met. If we want to have a healthy policy which is actually working for all the vulnerable people, we need to work on this direction. The Health Ministry Steering Committee convened experts from the range of discipline sector, including the epidemiology, environment, energy transition, transport, public economies, to develop prescribed that would primarily focus on the health benefits. So this is how the things need to be done. All the stakeholders, even the triple P collaborations can be the part of it, NGO can be the part of it, the stakeholders, right? The central government and the state government can be the important role players. Now, moving to the way forward, it is like at the crossroad to fight against the air pollutions, and the contemporary approach is to tackle the issues that has been tied for the decade that has been proven ineffective. So we need to work in effective and inducive environment which is actually working and giving the practical implications to it. The choice before the government and the stakeholder into is to have an issue of the air pollution and its remedy at the earliest. Moving to the MCQ questions of the day, before I proceed, just to tell you the answers of yesterday questions. For first question, the correct option is A. For second question, the correct option is C. Today's MCQ for practice, आपको बताना है न्यू अम्ब्रेला एंटिटीज के बारे में. Only those entities that is owned and controlled by citizen for at least 3 years can experience the payment segment for the promoters of NUEs. No foreign investment is allowed in NU in the existing guidelines. So do check it out for the correct option. Which among the following is correct? A, B, C or D. Today's MCQ for practice second, that is electoral bond. All nationalized in India are authorized to issue the in cash bond that is available for 15 days from the date of issuance. This is with regards to electoral bond. These bonds are remittable in the designated bank account of the political parties. The election is ongoing in Gujarat and Himachal Pradesh. So this type of question might be relevant for many other government examination also. So do check it out for the correct option, and you can even elaborate the part of electoral bond, how does it actually functions and what are the Supreme Court ruling on this regard. So this was all about for the daily news and editorial analysis followed by the MCQ questions. If you have any other concern, you can let me know. I'll be more than happy to assist you. For time being, I'm signing off. Thank you so much for watching this video.